Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well in this current state and hanging in there. I just wanted to kind of start putting a little more exercise videos out there to help people kind of transition to home workouts. This one today is going to be a step workout. I'm not going to get into jumping or plyometrics today, but I'm just going to do some basic step training. I think this is great for anybody, and it's some really good exercises for runners. I hope you'll bear with me because I do have a little bit of a head cold, so if my voice, I'm going to try to yell as best as I can. If you have any questions because you can't hear me that well, please reach out and I'm happy to answer them. So before I get into that, some really basic components of strength training that I want specifically for runners to know, but again, anybody can use these exercises, is that if you're still running now, so some of you might still be training for those virtual marathons. So you're still in your training season, you're still ramping up, your running is still your primary source of exercise. It should be at least 80% of your program right now. You want to put the strength training will help, and we can just ease it in there. We're not going to go quite as heavy with it if you're training, but we can just start getting some load through the legs to help you more resilient to your run, to help you keep up your capacity, kind of help you have a little left in the tank at the end of the race. We know that that's kind of where it helps and help prevent injury. If you're kind of saying, okay, that's it, I've had it with this, I'm just going to like kind of run and just wait till this passes and then get into training for races, this is a great time to really add strength training in. So if you're just doing your, like, you're still running, but you're just kind of doing your easy everyday runs, it's time to go heavy, add a little more weight, build your resistance, work your way up to some plyometrics, really build those tissues so that when you are ready to run for that race next season, you're ready to go and you really are resilient. And then you can transition into just like a couple times a week with a little lighter. Still heavy, but not heavy. So what we want to do though is like in season 2 to 3 times a week, same with out of season, just the volume. You're going to probably do more exercises, more reps, a little heavier weight out of season. And so like I said, twice a week, maybe 4 to 5 exercises for those that are still running. And you don't want to do a heavy workout where you feel pretty sore or anything and then have a really hard run the next day. You want at least the first half of your run to be like a conversation pace run. You could potentially pick up the second half of your run. So just make sure you're programming your strengthening that way. Also, you can do your strengthening right after a run that's like a conversation pace, that's like a longer, easier run. If you're doing a high intensity tempo workout or hill repeats or something like that, you want at least 3 hours before you do strengthening because we do not want to overload the tissues, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the exercises. I'm not going to show you every rep and take you through the full workout. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different exercises that you can do with the step, and then you can program it into your workout. You can do it just the traditional like 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15. You want to go until you're feeling a burn. If you have a little weight, that can help a little bit, but if you don't have weight, you might have to do a little higher reps, but you want to feel fatigued by the end of each repetition. And you can, so I'm not going to give you exact programming because I think it's going to be individual for each person, but just some basic guidelines. Sometimes I like to cycle through from one exercise to the next, so I just do like, maybe I'll do like the every minute on the minute style where I'm doing an exercise. I set a timer for a minute, and let's say I'm 15 reps is I'm tired, is kind of how many reps I need to do, and that maybe takes me 30 to 45 seconds. I'll rest until that minute is up, and then as soon as that minute is up, I'll go into a next exercise. And I'll do the same thing there. I'll do that for as long as however many reps I need, and then I'll rest until the minute is up, and then go into the next exercise. And maybe I'll have 4 exercises that I do, and I just cycle through them 3 to 4 times. That's a way to get a little more movement and just keep moving without as much rest if you want a little more cardio into your workout. But you can also just do, your standard work really hard, give a good rest, work again. So there's lots of ways to program that. And if you need help figuring out how to program it, you can just email me. I just don't like to do a one-size-fits-all, so I wanted to give some options. So I'm going to go through just a few repetitions of each exercise. At the bare minimum, pick 2 or 3, do 3 sets of 10, I'll say anywhere from 10 to 20 of them, a couple times a week to help build the load and capacity of, this is mostly going to be the lower extremity. I'll throw in one that kind of gets the whole body. And through the week, I'll add some upper extremity and some plyometrics and some other exercises as well. Okay, long spiel there, but let's get going. So the first thing is just a basic step up, a great exercise for runners, and I'm going to build on it as we go through this workout. So I'm going to have you just put your foot on your step. Now, I like to keep my arms in like a running form because that just, kind of reminds me that we're runners. So we're going to just kind of shift our weight over, and what a lot of people do is they just kind of throw themselves up off the back foot. I want you to use your front foot. So I'm going to have you shift over your front foot, really feel the weight through the whole foot. So you want to feel weight through the ball of your big toe, through the outside of the ball of the pinky toe, and the heel all at the same time. We don't want to be back on our heel or on the outside of our foot, and we're not gripping with our toes. That's very important. So we're going to shift over and then control it up with our with the top leg. We're not pushing off the back leg, and then we're going to go back down. So I like to have people pause. So we shift as far as we can so we feel the weight over the whole foot, and then we're going to push up from here. Good. Come back down, pause, and then shift back. So shift up, shift, pause, push up, balance for a second, back down, shift back, okay? And now to make it a little harder, you can use some weight. So you can hold the weight at your side. I usually hold it in the opposite side. You could hold 2 weights if you have 2 kettlebells. Sometimes I'll have people do a bottoms up this way. You could technically hold it up overhead, but I'll hit my ceiling. So that would look like this, straight up overhead, or even down at the side, straight up overhead. Just make sure your rib cage doesn't come up. You want to keep that rib cage down. So I'm just going to do a bottom up hold here, keeping my rib cage down. So I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm just going to step up a few times. Balance, back down. Step up, shift, up, back down. Okay, so that's the easier of the ones we're going to do. The next thing we're going to do is a lateral step down. Now I think this is a really important exercise for runners, and I like to use the metronome for this. Now a lot of people don't know what a metronome is. That's just a musical, it's not an instrument, but it's something that musicians use to keep beat, and you can download an app on your phone. I got this little one here on Amazon for just a few dollars. So you can hear it keeps a beat. So we're going to go slow with this one. So I'm just going to lower my hips until I can just barely touch the floor. I'm just like kind of tapping it. I'm not putting any weight through that foot. And I'm just going to try to match the beat. I don't have the beat yet, but. And just down and up. Now you want to make sure you're not back on your heel. We're still using that 3-point contact. And a lot of people will start to hinge there. And we know for runners, one of the very important things is the best runners stay really upright. So my weight's even between my heel and my toe, but I'm keeping my trunk upright, and I'm just. Okay. Now what we can do, and the same for that, is you can add in, let's turn that off. You can add in holding weights to kind of make it harder as you go. But the most important thing is to keep the rhythm there. And you would probably work on that for about at least 30 seconds, just to really kind of steady the rhythm on each side, and you can do a couple sets of that. The next one we'll do is a split squat. So it's a rear foot elevated. So I'm going to have my rear foot on the step, and my toes are, as you can see, they're curled up. I'm not down like this. I actually have my toes bent. So the ball of my big toe is touching the step. And I'm just going to stack. I want to make sure my rib cage isn't elevated, so I'm going to keep my sternum down so it's just stacked right up over my pelvis. And I'm going to just go ahead and bring that back knee straight to the floor like I was going to propose to somebody. So down, up. Oop, lost my balance on that one. So you want that 3-point foot contact on the front foot there. Breathe in, blow out. And I'm going to breathe in on the way down, out on the way up. And when I blow out, I really want to feel my ribs coming down and in. So breathe in, ribs come out, blow out, ribs down and in. That's a great way to start working on your breathing technique for running. So breathe in, expand, blow out, ribs down and in. And that's important for our core and abs. So just to show that on the other side. Okay, rib cage over pelvis. Breathe in, breathe out, ribs down and in. Breathe in, lower, blow out, up. Okay, want to make sure you're not letting your head come forward, nice and lined body. So that's that one. The next thing we want to do is we want to kind of program in some alternate movements of the foot so that if our foot hits the ground and our knee has to kind of jut in, we can handle it. A lot of times people will perfectly try to train the knee straight over the toes, but in the real life, our knee moves, right? So we need to make sure that we're resilient to it. If it happens during running, that we can handle it. So this is a crossover step down. So you can just, it's almost like a curtsy, like a, curtsy, or somebody says like a bowler. So you're going to lower down, cross tap, come back up and balance. And again, you can add weight to this. Cross tap, balance. It is okay for the knee to go in on this. We're training that. We still want to have that 3-point contact on the foot, and we're pushing and controlling everything with this leg. We're not pushing off this leg at all. So I'm just tapping, back up. Sometimes I'll even have people kind of step down to this way, come back up this way. You can make it an exercise that way. If you have a step like this actually works really well, turning it sideways and kind of step up, step down to the side, back up, cross step, back up, step down to the side, cross step. You can't do that on a regular staircase, but if you have one of these, this works well. If regular staircase, you just have to program them separately, okay? You can throw the metronome into this too. You can play around with different speeds to try to keep rhythm. I'd rather see somebody on all of these exercises be a little wobbly at first, but keep going. Like if they're a little wobbly and they're still keeping the rhythm, then to go wobble, wobble, stop, and then go again. Because I just think when we kind of keep the rhythm, that'll work a little bit better. The next thing you can do is great for like the hips up here. So we're going to step up again, okay? And now we can just add some drills to keep that 3-point contact, keep that rib cage down. And we're going to just do like a runner's march. So see how I have my foot flexed up? So I'm going to keep my foot flexed up, my knee out in front. I like to have people do a few of those, like maybe 5. Then kick out to the side 5 times. And then kick back 5 times. Okay? So we're doing all the motions of a runner. And this leg is doing all the stabilization. What we can add to that, if you have one of these little mini bands, and I just have my lightest one right now, I could probably go a little heavier with this. Or if you have like the TheraBand that you got in the physical therapist office, you can put it just around your feet, normally like this, but I actually like to take part of it, just take it and flatten it, and stick it under the first couple toes here, okay? Because a lot of us tend to kind of want to go onto the outside of our foot, and we tend to forget about using that big toe, which is just so important for runners. Well, so important for any sport, because I think anybody can use these exercises. So what I want you to do is just put the band under, I kind of take it to the ball of the second toe. So it's not all the way across. That's what's holding the band down. And what that does is that forces me to keep the big toe flat on the ground, okay? And it also, you'll feel, when you're doing this, you'll feel your foot working. So you'll feel the foot working a little bit more. So then we're going to take it up. 5 runs up. 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I wobbled a little bit, but I didn't stop. Okay, now onto the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to go back and not lose the band, I usually point my toes, because if not, I lose the band. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Control my step down, step back up, start over. 1, get my balance. 2, losing it. This is a hard one. 3, 4, 5. Out to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then out back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's a good way to start getting a mini band in there, but this works great even if you don't have the band to stabilize. Sometimes I'll have people, if they don't have a band, just put like a quarter or a piece of paper under there and try to visualize pushing that in. You can even put a piece of paper in there and have one of your kids come try to pull it out. If you have kids or a partner or a friend or whoever, try to pull it out. They have fun doing that, and then you're really trying to keep it in there. A good way to work on that big toe a little bit. The next thing we can do is, I like just regular squats, but since we're doing a step workout, if you're just doing, if you have just a regular step, you would just do one side at a time. If you have a step like this, you can cross over. So, and if you don't have a step, you can also use like a couple books stacked up or a cinder block too. You might be surprised what you can use as a step. You just need a raised platform. But we're gonna just do some squats. So I'm gonna sit back into my heels, but I don't want to go so far back into my heels that I lose my big toe. So I'm still gonna keep that weight evenly through both. So we're gonna squat down this way, push up, cross over, squat down, push up, cross over, squat down, push up, cross over, squat down. And that way you're kind of working each leg a little differently. Okay, this is not probably the first in line, but I just wanted to give something a little more movement based. That'll get your heart rate up, so you could get that warming up a little differently. The next thing, of course, I would actually start on the ground for these, just doing one finger on something to balance and doing just a calf raise, just like this, nice and slow. You may have to start on 2 legs. You want to make sure that you're not rolling up, that the knees stay straight and it's straight up, straight down. So knees stay straight, one finger balance, right down. And as you get better, you can add the deficit of the step. So I'll just show it to here and then up. Good. Working, I would do 20 to 25 reps of these. You want to make sure you're not rolling to the outside of your feet. You're staying on that big toe. One finger for balance as you go to 1 foot. So just a slow up. A little wobbly there. I need to work on that one. Back down. Okay. Start on the floor first. If you're mastering the floor, you're doing 25 reps. You're not rolling all over the place. You can keep the big toe down. Then go ahead and do the calf there. And then you can also do the same thing with the knees bent a little bit. So same thing, you want that trunk upright because now we're working on the soleus, the smaller muscle in there. And this is really important for runners. I have a couple exercises that aren't related to the step that I'll show later this week. But this one, the same thing here. Get on the step, little, and then just up and down. Calf is hugely important for runners, so that's another good exercise to throw in there. And then lastly, I'll do this one sideways. We could do a plank. So what we could do here is kind of, I like to walk out my planks because I think that's good for the shoulder. So we can walk it out and get to a solid plank. And then I'm going to put my foot on the step and lift the other leg. So, let me turn this sideways so you can see that better from the front. So I'm going to make sure that I'm in my plank. I have 1 foot on the step. I'm in a nice chin tuck, nice even part, and then I'm just lifting my other leg, trying not to roll all over the place. My other leg comes up. I'm going to hold that for about 30 seconds and then back down. So a lot of breath now, a lot of talking. So that is a whole hodgepodge of exercises that you can do with a step. So like I said, pick out 3 or 4 of them and work them into your workout a couple times a week. You can play with the repetitions. You just want to make sure you feel fatigued with each set and do multiple sets of each exercise. So whether you do 3 sets of 10 of one exercise all in a row, or you kind of do them in series, that's totally fine. Either way is fine. and then build from there. So stay tuned. I'll show some more exercises that don't necessarily have to have the step, but I thought this is a good place to start because most of us have at least one step in our house or can stack up a couple books or something like that. Okay, so stay tuned. I'll send some more exercises soon. Hope everybody hanging in there. Stay safe.